Hello everyone, and welcome to the very first class session here at Baka Basics. Before we get into all the types of anime genres, demographics, and takes on certain shows that we have, I'm here to better explain what exactly makes an anime, where the term originated from, its introduction to a larger Western audience, and the different terms for shows like these used in other parts of the world. I'm Summers with Baka Basics, and this is what makes an anime. Class is officially in session. Anime is hand-drawn and computer-generated animation originating from Japan. Outside of Japan and in English, anime refers to Japanese animation, and refers specifically to animation produced in Japan. However, animation produced outside of Japan with similar style to Japanese animation is commonly referred to as anime-influenced animation. However, in Japan itself and in Japanese, anime, a term derived from a shortening of the English word animation, describes all animated work regardless of style or origin. The earliest commercial Japanese animations date back to 1917, with the more commonly seen characteristic art style emerging in the 1960s, with the works of cartoonist Osamu Tezuka. In addition to original works, anime are often adaptations of Japanese comics, commonly known as manga, light novel stories, or even video games. Anime is then classified into numerous demographic types, genres, and subgenres, targeting various broad and niche audiences. Compared to Western animation, anime production generally focuses less on movement and more on the details of settings and use of camera effects, such as panning, zooming, and angle shots. Diverse art styles are used, and character proportions and features can be quite varied, with a common characteristic feature being large and emotive eyes. The animation industry consists of over 500 studios in Japan alone, and since the 1980s, the medium has also seen international success with the rise of foreign dubbed and subtitled programming, and its increasing distribution through streaming services. Thanks to the anime-focused services Crunchyroll, HiDive, and Funimation, along with streaming capability on platforms such as Hulu and Amazon Prime, along with the new yearly focus Netflix has with creating its own anime catalog, more people have access to anime than ever before. Most Western fans tend to be rigid with the definition of anime. They claim the term can only be used to define non-Japanese animation when qualified. This is why you'll hear people describe the web series RWBY, made by American production company Rooster Teeth, as an American anime. Or you'll notice fans dub Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra as an anime-inspired TV shows. You can acknowledge the nod to anime, but as we've already stated, you can't outright call it anime if it wasn't produced in Japan. As for how anime originally came to Western audiences, we can greatly thank the rise of VHS. These tapes allowed anime to become a much more profitable medium than ever before, giving birth to the concept of OVAs. These straight-to-home release productions had much higher budgets than regular broadcast anime, and thus could get away with a lot more risque material. The somewhat controversial nature of these shows helped to make anime even more popular in the growing underground fandom outside of Japan. Their being brought to the West, either officially or unofficially, was the result of the success of subtitled anime being shown on specific Japanese-oriented TV channels in America that were created primarily for early Japanese American communities. The new wealth of different genres and more matured tones was also a welcome reprieve from the much safer American cartoon industry of the period. This idea that Japanese cartoons were so much more mature and experimental, along with the roots of the Western otaku culture, was cemented with the release of the legendary film Akira. Though it ironically wasn't much of a success in Japan, the dark cyberpunk film made a huge impact in the West. The fact that a quote-unquote cartoon could be so evocative of stories like Blade Runner and other such serious sci-fi films showcased the power of the medium, and what broadcasters could potentially be cashing in on by importing more of these productions. There would also be attempts to bring the massively popular Dragon Ball series to the US, although the first few tries failed to reach even a fraction of what the franchise would eventually become in America. The 1990s, however, was finally the decade in which anime, as an idea and medium, began firing on all cylinders and was released in a widespread, relatively unchanged capacity in the West. Since then, anime has gained an undeniable foothold in modern American culture, with poor dubs, looking at you 4Kids, mostly a relic of the past. In South Korea, Ani usually refers to Japanese animation in colloquial usage, although it can refer to Korean animation or animation in general. To distinguish it from its Japanese counterpart, Korean animation is often called Hanguk Ani or Korean animation, or Guksan Ani, domestic animation. Korean stories told through illustrations like manga are called manhwa, with those created online known as webtoons. American-made shows are usually referred to as cartoons or anime-inspired cartoons, as mentioned previously, with specialty blocks such as Cartoon Network's Toonami dedicated to bringing anime to the country. Johnny's home nation of Canada is well known for Teletoon, a Canadian English language specialty channel owned by Teletoon Canada. Its name is a combination of television and cartoon, and primarily broadcasts animated series aimed at children and teenagers. Chinese animation refers to animation made in China, and in Chinese, donghua describes all animated works, regardless of style or origin. However, outside of China and in English, donghua is colloquial for Chinese animation and refers specifically to animation produced in China. Other countries such as Australia and New Zealand, the Philippines, Mexico, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, and much of Western Europe also have some type of homegrown animation studio. Saudi Arabia is the newest of these to get into the animation game, and in 2021 produced a film called The Journey, a collaborated film by Japan's Toei Animation and Saudi Arabia's Manga Productions. This is a very small portion of the world of anime. The easiest way to classify anime is that it was made in Japan. But as we've talked about, the influence these shows have had on not just Japanese, but world culture is truly immense and continues to be growing even till this day. That's all for today's session. If you liked the video, please be sure to go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I've been Summers with Baka Basics, and we will see you the next time that class is in session.